You'd be surprised how often silence hides obsession. While you're over there trying to move forward, wondering if she forgot or if you were replaced, she's stuck in her own internal struggle. She's thinking about you a lot. But here's the thing, she'll never admit it. Her pride is louder than her feelings. She checks your stories and pretends it's by accident. She replays old conversations in her head at night when everything is quiet. Every time her phone lights up, there's a flash of hope it might be you, but she still won't reach out. Because to her, reaching out feels like surrender. It feels like admitting she was wrong, that she misses you more than she expected, that maybe you meant more to her than she let on. Pride doesn't like admitting mistake. Here's the real twist. It's not that she doesn't care. It's that caring out loud would bruise her ego. She'd rather post a story that makes her look unbothered. She'd rather show the world she's moved on, because in her mind, if she says nothing, she still has control. She still looks strong. But silence isn't strength. Silence is fear. She fears looking weak. She fears you might not care back. She fears that if she sends that message and doesn't get the response she wants, it will confirm everything she's trying to deny, that she let something real slip away. So what does she do instead? She watches quietly. She notices if your energy has shifted. She overanalyzes your absence. If you start living like you've let her go, that's when it eats at her the most. Not because you begged or because you tried harder, but because you didn't. You moved in silence while she fought a battle in her own mind between ego and emotion. The longer you say nothing, the louder your absence becomes. Now, here's the part no one talks about, how silence starts to shift the power dynamic without a single word spoken. While she's battling that inner dialogue, your silence becomes a mirror, not a cold shoulder, but a reflection. It forces her to sit with the choices she made without the safety of your validation to cushion it. She expected you to chase. She expected you to fold. Maybe she even expected you to check in just to see how she's doing. When you didn't, her mind had no closure, only noise. You see, pride wants control, but the human heart wants resolution. When there's no message, no explanation, no drama, just your quiet absence, it disrupts the narrative she created. She starts questioning, did he really move on? Is he talking to someone else? Was I wrong about him? Did I mess this up more than I thought? The silence doesn't make her forget you. It makes her feel the weight of losing you. Not just the attention, not just the texts or calls, but the presence, the energy you brought, the way you made her feel like someone worth choosing, even when she wasn't sure if she deserved it. The longer you remain calm, unbothered, and focused on yourself, the pressure builds because pride is stubborn, but it's not built to carry emotional uncertainty forever. Eventually, it cracks, not because you forced it, but because you didn't feed it. And here's the real value. You're not punishing her with silence. You're reclaiming your peace. You're not waiting around. You're living. You're not acting cold. You're just no longer chasing warmth that was never consistent to begin with. First, you're showing that you know your worth, and her silence won't make you forget it. That's when the regret hits her the hardest. By now, something strange starts happening inside her. The silence that once felt like control begins to feel like exposure. When someone pulls away thinking you'll follow, they secretly test their own importance in your life. When you don't react, it forces them to measure their real value. Not the one they assumed, but the one reflected by your actions. And that's silence. It's proof she was never as secure as she pretended to be. She's out with friends, trying to laugh, but the conversations don't hit the same. She posts stories hoping you'll see, but the lack of your reaction creates an echo she can't ignore. She checks your profile more than she wants to admit, wondering how you look so calm while she's quietly unraveling. Because here's the truth. You're not the one being cold. You're just unavailable to games. She thought she had more time to be indecisive, more time to test your patience, more time to see if you'd always be there. But you move differently. No. Now, every time you don't reach out, her mind has to fill in the blanks, and that's where your real power lies. Letting her own imagination do the work. Because nothing haunts the mind like uncertainty. You're not chasing because you're done playing a role in someone else's emotional tug-of-war. You're not angry, bitter, or cruel. You're just unavailable for confusion. In a world where most people beg to be seen, your absence is rare. Your silence becomes a powerful statement. She thought leaving you in suspense would keep her in control. Now you've flipped the script without saying a word. She thought she'd feel free, but instead she feels forgotten. And that's the kind of silence that screams louder than any confrontation ever could. Now, the silence begins to do something even deeper. It starts challenging the story she told herself. You see, people tell themselves lies to protect their egos. She may have told herself you were too available, too emotional, too easy to walk away from, that she needed space, that she could find better. But now, in the quiet, with no text from you waiting in her inbox, that version of the story doesn't feel as strong anymore. Every time she looks around and sees that you're still not chasing, she's left asking herself one haunting question. What if I want him? That's the turning point. That's the turning point. The moment doubt creeps in begins to erode the pride that once felt like power, the pride that made her feel untouchable. It's now being exposed for what it really was: fear. Fear of vulnerability, fear of being truly seen, fear that she had something real and let it go. Meanwhile, your silence is doing something incredible on your end. It's rebuilding your self-respect brick by brick. Every time you don't respond out of emotion, every time you resist the urge to check in, every time you hold the line, you're proving to yourself that you're no longer available for one-sided emotional labor. You're no longer playing the role of emotional caretaker for someone who pulled away the moment you became real. That inner shift radiates outward. You begin to carry yourself differently, not because you're faking strength, but because you finally stopped abandoning yourself to get someone else's attention. And here's where it really hits her. She sees that shift. Even if you've gone no contact, even if you haven't posted, even if you've vanished from her world, she feels it. Women are intuitive like that. Then, the emotional vacuum you left behind becomes impossible to ignore. You weren't just a nice person, you were peace. You were grounding. You were the one who saw her when she didn't even see herself. And now that energy is gone, not in anger, but in discipline. Nothing disturbs someone more than realizing you're not punishing them. You're just no longer available. Now that is a different kind of heartbreak. One that lingers, one that they can't just shake off. The longer you stay silent, grounded and focused on your own path, the louder it gets in her mind. What most people don't realize is that the real shift happens not when she sees you've changed, but when she starts questioning who she was around you. Not just, Did I lose him? But was I even the right version of myself with him? Because when your silence stretches, when your absence becomes a mirror, she starts confronting things she never wanted to admit. Things she once blamed you for now start echoing back to her. Not because you argued or pointed fingers, but because you gave her the one thing her ego can't handle: distance with dignity. She expected fireworks, tears, drama, something loud. Instead, she got stillness, and that stillness is brutal. Because silence doesn't validate her narrative. It doesn't fight back or prove anything. It just sits there, reflecting everything she ran from. That's when she'll start asking herself, why isn't he chasing me? Has he really moved on? Did I matter as much as I thought I did? And those questions come with no answers. That's what drives her mad. The attention she used to get from you, gone. The comfort of knowing you'd always be there, fading. The emotional leash she thought she had on you, snapped. Meanwhile, you've become more silent, but not cold. More distant, but not bitter. You've become neutral, and that neutrality is powerful. Because neutrality means you're no longer trying to control the outcome. You've detached, not because you don't care, but because you've outgrown the dynamic. And here's the part that really shakes her. She begins to realize she didn't expect you to elevate. She didn't expect you to get stronger. She expected you to collapse without her validation. But now you're no longer orbiting her emotional planet. You've built your own gravity. Even if she doesn't reach out, even if she doesn't say a word, she's feeling the shift. She's watching from the shadows, wondering how the man she used to control is now the one she can't stop thinking about. Because the silence isn't just driving her crazy, it's making her see you for the first time. What makes silence so destructive to the ego isn't just the absence of words, it's the absence of control. When she had your attention, she knew where she stood. She could predict your moves. Your replies were instant. Your presence was constant. That certainty gave her power, even if she never admitted it. But now, she's sitting in uncertainty. It's messing with her in ways she never expected. She scrolls through your social media not to check on you, but to see if you've changed. Is he still the same guy who waited on my every message? Is he still quietly liking my stories? Is he still orbiting? But there's nothing. No signs, no validation, no digital crumbs. And that's when the fear kicks in, because if she can't see you, she can't control the story anymore. She starts imagining, overthinking, wondering. And when a woman starts wondering, she starts remembering. She remembers how you used to treat her, the consistency, the effort, the patience, the emotional safety that came so naturally with you that she once brushed off like it was nothing. And here's the twist. Now she realizes it wasn't nothing. It was rare. And rare things only feel rare once they're gone. She starts comparing every new conversation. They feel shallow. Every guy that tries to talk to her feels a little too forward, a little too obvious, a little too fake. Why? Because they don't carry your calm, your poise, your restraint. You gave her an experience of being truly seen, and now she's realizing how few people in this world actually do that. The louder the world gets around her, the more your silence begins to echo louder than all of it. I know. And here's the powerful part. You're not doing it to hurt her. You're doing it to honor yourself. You're not ghosting. You're not playing games. You're not trying to win anything. You've simply chosen to withdraw your energy from someone who didn't value it. And the thing about energy is, once it's withdrawn, It leaves a vacuum. She can feel that emptiness, not in anger, but in the absence of warmth. That absence becomes a reminder not of who she was, but of who you were. And in that realization, her pride starts to slip. Because now it's not about whether or not she misses you. It's about why she pushed away the one person who gave her something real. And trust me, that regret hits different. She might not say it out loud. She might post a selfie, go out with friends, act like life is moving on. But internally, there's a war between what her ego wants and what her heart feels. And that war, you're the battlefield. See, the truth is, people don't just miss the presence. They miss the effect that presence had on them. You gave her a feeling she didn't even know she was starving for. That calm, certainty, that quiet energy that didn't need to impress. It just was. You didn't need to chase. You didn't need to explain yourself. You just showed up fully and honestly. And now that you've stepped back, she's starting to feel the contrast. At first, she may have felt empowered when you stopped reaching out. She may have told herself, good, now I can focus on me. But what she didn't expect was the weight of silence to settle in her chest, like a brick cut briquet. She didn't expect the night to feel longer. She didn't expect to check her phone and feel annoyed at every message that wasn't from you. She didn't expect to miss someone who never begged, never chased, and never lost his cool. And now her mind starts playing tricks on her. Was I too cold? Was I too cold? Did I misread his energy? Is he done for real this time? That's the fear, not losing you physically, but losing the version of herself that only existed when you were around. Because when a high-value person detaches, not to manipulate, but because their peace is no longer welcome, they send a message more powerful than words could ever carry. I'm not angry. I'm just unavailable to be mishandled. And that hits her differently because you're not slamming doors, you're not blocking or begging or broadcasting your pain. You're simply gone emotionally, mentally, and energetically. And the hardest pill for her to swallow, she caused it. She has to sit with that now. No distraction, no rebound, no temporary thrill can silence that inner voice that keeps whispering, you lost something good and you know it. That's the real power. You've stopped reacting and now her thoughts are chasing themselves. She's replaying the last conversation, the last text, trying to figure out the moment it shifted. And all the while, your silence becomes louder, heavier, more undeniable. This isn't punishment. It's presence through absence. You're not trying to break her. You're letting her break her own illusion. The illusion that you'd always be there, that you'd always wait, that you'd keep proving your worth. But not this time. Because now she's left trying to figure out who you are without the version of you that constantly poured into her. And in that gap, she starts to see the truth she's been denying. You weren't just a man in her life. You were a mirror of what she needed, but wasn't ready for. Oh. And now that the mirror is gone, she's forced to see herself. And it's not as pretty without your light reflecting back. If this spoke to you, don't just scroll away. Hit that like button and subscribe for more. And if you've ever gone silent and watched her shift, drop a comment.